Alright, hello citizens of the Nigelverse. It's Nigel here once again, and this is going to be another tier list. So today, we are looking at the Armored Avenger himself, the genius billionaire playboy philanthropist. It's Tony Stark, aka Iron Man. And now this is based off several attires or armors that he's worn in the comics. We did a previous one for the MCU armors, but this is more the comic side of things. And I'm also tempted to do one for like the rest of like the media and stuff, like movies or other movies that weren't necessarily the MCU or video games. So let me know in the comments if you guys are interested in that. But nevertheless, we got our armors here, and we have our tiers down here. And man, Iron Man has worn a lot of armors over the years, which makes sense. Iron Man's been around for a while, a little bit, but. Nonetheless, we have our tiers here, which the top tier is Armored Avenger, meaning it's a really good armor, really fantastic, really beautiful armor. Then we have A tier, meaning still really good, maybe not the top tier, but still really, really cool. Then B tier we have is kind of the middle ground, meaning not really great, not really horrible, but it's still good or like serviceable for the most part, or decent. And then C tier is almost at the bottom, or two things keeping it from the bottom. And then the bottom is scrap metal, meaning take the armor off, scrap it, throw it away. Is not a good armor. So without further ado, let's get right into it. And I imagine, considering all the armors we have here, they might be all over the place. But we gotta start with the original, aka Mark 1. And just seeing it here also makes me realize how like close they got in accuracy to the MCU design. But as for here is very big and very bulky. Very big and very bulky indeed. It really does look like a suit of armor covering the whole body and everything, which is nice. And I can't rag on it too much. It is just a basic silver color, but it's the original, so I can't really rag on it too much. So this one I am gonna at least put in B. I think I'll be generous and put it in B. But next up is Mark II. So pretty much like this one, except this one's in gold, as opposed to the silver. And I feel like the gold does make it pop out a little bit more. Still the same basic design as this one, like I said, but the gold does make it pop out a bit more. But I think I will still put this one in B tier. So that one will go in B tier. Next up is the classic armor, or aka probably one of the most recognizable Iron Man armors, because it's the one he wore pretty much back then and throughout like the golden age or was it the silver age of comics. Nevertheless, as a very classic armor, an armor that has been shown several times that a lot of people recognize Iron Man for. And not gonna lie, hey, parts of it do look kind of weird, because this part, like the red part, you can tell is definitely supposed to be armor. This yellow part is more of a question though, and you can make an inference that's supposed to be armor as well, but it just looks like it's regular arms. Like it doesn't really have any shine or anything to it, which makes sense. This was back then, but it doesn't really have any shine or anything like to it, but. And otherwise, yeah, so the classic, but I can't rag on the classic too much, so the classic I think I'll also put in B. So the classic will go in B. But next up is going to be the Ultimate Comics. And man, this is a cool looking armor. For a lot of people, this is probably one of their favorite Iron Man armor. A lot of people consider this a very underrated looking armor, and I can see why. It's almost betrayed by just the solid gray color, or as opposed to like the rest of the red and gold. But thankfully, there is still enough going on to where here I think it does kind of work. Or all the machinery and stuff going on in here and all like the moving parts you could tell, and then these arc reactors right here, and then and same with the hands and everything, obviously, and then the legs. So I think being almost a little too basic And I guess I owe Mark 47 an apology from the MCU because they did in the comics too. But this one I think gets away with it. So it is still really cool though. But me personally, I think I will give it a B. But I do recognize that a lot of people do like it. I think is for the most part still pretty cool. Next though, is going to be the Extremis armor, another one of people's favorite Iron Man armors. And spoiler alert, if the next armor that I put down here is the one I think it is, then that one's also a favorite too. But this also a very recognizable Iron Man armor, and you can tell that this kind of similar to this one, but with a modern flavor to it. It is still somewhat bulky, but also a bit slimmed out. Oh, and it's got the cool helmet and everything. And you can tell this was also kind of the basis for the armors in the MCU. But the Extremis, his comic I haven't actually read. I do want to read at some point. But the Extremis armor does still look pretty cool. It's got the triangle arc reactor this time around. Let me know in the comments below, do you guys prefer the triangle or the circle arc reactors? Me, I think I can go either or. Depending on which armor it is, I'll either lean towards the triangle or the circle. Or even some of the other shapes that we saw in like the MCU, like the trapezoid and stuff like that. Or I don't know if that was actually a trapezoid, but nevertheless, the Extremis, I think I'll actually put Extremis in A. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna put it in A. It is a really cool armor in my opinion. But next up is going to be Yep, the Bleeding Edge armor, or like I said, another one of people's favorites, and it's pretty cool, and it is a pretty cool armor, and I like how there's a lot of red and gold, but the gold doesn't overstay its welcome, and there's plenty of red to flesh it out, and this is the armor where Iron Man is able to generate weapons and stuff like that, and not sure why it's called the Bleeding Edge. If I had to take a guess, and I think I might have talked about this in the MCU Iron Man tier list, but if I had to take a guess, I guess because Cutting Edge is supposed to be very modern, very high tech and everything, so Bleeding Edge goes above the Cutting Edge. But that's just me personally. But still a really cool armor in my opinion. And I think this one might be our first Armored Avenger. We do take the looks into account, but we also especially with Iron Man's armors, we also do have to take the functionality into account, and this is a very cool functional armor. So you know what? Yeah, this I think is going to be our first Armored Avenger, the Bleeding Edge armor, a really cool looking armor in my opinion. And keep in mind these are all my opinions, so if you disagree with any of these, that is completely fine. Next up is the Guardians of the Galaxy armor, aka the Deep Space armor. This is when Iron Man spent a little bit of time in the Guardians of the Galaxy. Not gonna lie, I don't think I'm the biggest fan of this one. Something about it, I think there's a little too much red. I know usually I prefer more red to gold so that it balances out because the gold is very much a powerful color, so the red kind of balances it out. But there is such a thing as too much red, and I think this one has a bit too much red. But there is still a lot going on with like the armor, and then the shoulder parts being like spiky, and then the helmet. But the helmet does look kind of weird. Not sure I'm the biggest fan of this, but I think I didn't want to do that. I think I'll at least put this one in. I don't know if I want to put it in C. I don't think I want to be that harsh, but I think I'll at least put it in B. Yeah, I think I'll be generous. I'll at least put it in B. Not the biggest fan, but I don't necessarily want to put it in C. Next up is Superior Iron Man. This armor is really cool. Symbiote-based armor, and just like all the other people possessed by a symbiote, Iron Man became even more egotistical than usual, which may not seem possible, but it was. But as for the armor itself, with the silver and the black and the blue stuff going throughout, or the cyan going throughout, made for a really cool design. I mean, I like all the intricacies and stuff going on, and how the blue is present throughout, and the silver and black play with each other very nicely. It's honestly a really beautiful looking armor. So you know what, this one I think I'll also I think I also got to put this one in Armored Avenger as well. It's a really cool Iron Man armor, in my opinion. If I can copy and paste it, that would be beneficial. But yeah, something about it I've always really liked. It's a really cool looking design. So I got to put this one in. No, not just A, but Armored Avenger is going to go in the Armored Avenger tier. It's a really cool looking armor, in my opinion. But next up is going to be the Marvel Now, aka Mark 32, if I'm not mistaken. This one's an interesting one. For starters, you can tell this is definitely based off the MCU armor, which happens from time to time, where they base a look or even a whole character like Phil Coulson based off of the MCU and everything they're doing there. Or so based off like Mark 3 or yeah, very much like Mark 3 in the MCU, but with a different color scheme. It's got the red arc reactors. There's mixed with like the black armor. I know some people might be turned off by that, but I think it does look pretty cool. Also, Marvel Now, I think I will put in a B tier. It is still pretty cool. Pretty cool looking armor, and the black doesn't really throw it off too much, so it's pretty nice. So I will put it in B tier here. And I mentioned it's black, but it also kind of goes into like the brown a little bit. It either like a black or a dark brown kind of, and I think it's just maybe the way this is angled, but it's still pretty cool. So it's going to be. Next up is Invincible Iron Man. Something about this armor I have always really, really loved. It is very sleek. I know some people do prefer like the bulkier Iron Man armors, but me, I can go either way. The bulkier ones do look really nice, but so do the sleek ones, and this one is very nice looking and very sleek and very beautiful. It's got the helmet. It's got the red head and everything, and the gold and the black, and it's got the blue arc reactors on the backs of the hands, and it's got the little diamond arc reactor. Or something about it just looks really beautiful and really cool, and it does kind of remind me of like Iron Heart a little bit. And I think this was the comic line where she was introduced. But nevertheless, Invincible Iron Man is I definitely got to put it in Armored Avenger. It is really, really cool. Well, next up is going to be, let's see here, the modular armor. This one is, this one's kind of interesting, both in a good and not as good way, at least for me. It's got its fair share of red throughout in this part, and the gloves and the legs and stuff. But the gold, it's got like a pretty much the entire torso, save for the top part or in the chest area. The rest of the torso being gold, and then this part being gold, and then these gold things here, I think, do kind of throw me off a little bit, and kind of like the let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, the pentagon type armor, or diamond like armor here in the center, kind of reminded me of like the Superman logo, which may or may not have been done on purpose. I don't know, but I know a lot of people do still kind of like this one. On me, it's like kind of weird, but I think it's still okay. I think it's still serviceable. So the modular, I think I will also put in B. So far, no C and no bottom tier, which is interesting. But yeah, I think I'll put it in B. Next up is going to be the Hero's Return armor. I forget the exact lore behind this particular comic line, but as for this armor, it looks kind of cool, but also kind of weird. It's got this red part and everything, and the red it throughout, and these back parts here. And it's got the gold, but the gold's got the wires running through it, and I think those wires are what's kind of throwing me off a little bit. It it and you could definitely tell this was during like the '90s. It definitely has like that '90s feel. And yep, November '96. You can see right there. But I don't know, something about it does kind of throw me off a little bit. Maybe it's like all the wires and stuff, uh, um, but I get it. It's supposed to look very metal, very like dark and everything, because that was the style of the '90s at the time. But I'm not sure if I'm the biggest fan of this one. This one I might have to put in C. Yeah, I think this one I have to put in C, and I might accidentally jinx it when I said there was no C's. But yeah, this one I'm not the biggest fan of, I'll admit. But nevertheless, the next is going to be 2020, Iron Man 2020. And no, this wasn't made during 2020, during the pandemic and everything. And, but it was actually made. I believe this version came out in the '70s or '80s. I think the '80s. But this is actually Arno Stark, which is an alternate universe version of Tony Stark, who is actually evil. Well, but I do like how it's similar to like the classic look that we have like right here, or like this armor, or is the same that we got for 2020 here, or except it's a bit more like metal and a bit more dark with like a different helmet, it looking more evil, and then the shoulder her parts which have like the spikiness and everything, and these parts right here are it's still a pretty cool looking armor, pretty much looking like an evil Iron Man. And I also remember that this was DLC as part of one of the packs in Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, which was pretty cool. But the Out of Time pack, if I'm not mistaken. But nevertheless, this one I think I'll put in. It does look pretty cool, but I think I'll leave this one in B. Yeah, it's still pretty cool though. I'll give it that. Next up is going to be, let's see. Yeah, the stealth suit. This is a really cool looking suit. It does very much have like a stealthy look with like the midnight, with like kind of like the midnight blue, black, but also like midnight dark blue and the silver, and all this stuff going throughout. How it does look pretty cool. It does kind of remind me of the Superior Iron Man a little bit, but it does look really really nice. And also kind of, it looks like the Superior Iron Man blended with like the Marvel Now look that we have here. But I think it does still look kind of cool, and something about it does look really nice. The stealth suit, I am at least going to put in B. It is still a really nice looking armor. Not sure if I want to necessarily put it in A, but I think I will at least put it in B. Then next up is going to be the Hulkbuster armor. Arguably one of the most recognizable Iron Man armors, and this thing looks sick. Like, even like the comics version, like the MCU version looks really cool. Well, at least the first version in Age of Ultron, but this version also looks really cool. Well, it also looks like a very big Iron Man, and it's got the big bulkiness to it. It's got the gold parts. It's got the red right there, and the helmet and everything. And it's got the big tight. It's got the big piston-like legs. And it's really cool stuff. This really looks cool as well. So the Hulkbuster, I am also gonna put in. I gotta put it in Armored Avenger, or like the Hulkbuster has always looked really cool to me, and really awesome that they made an armor specifically to combat the Hulk. I think that was really cool, really nice touch. Then next up is the Celestial Hulkbuster. This one, if I'm not mistaken, was made to combat Galactus, and this one looks sick. There's a lot going on here. It's got all kinds of weaponry, like missiles and stuff. It's got like the helmet, so you can tell it is supposed to be for Galactus. It's got like wings and stuff here. Man, this thing looks sick. And this angle that they chose, was for, I guess, this specific comic panel. Also looks really cool and just adds to the coolness factor. This one I gotta put in. I also gotta put this one in Armored Adventure. Man, that thing looks cool. Well, imagine if he pulled up to fight Thanos in that. But nevertheless, the next armor up is going to be the Ice Age armor. This one is kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie. I get it. It's supposed to be like the it's supposed to be like the original armor or like the Mark 1, Mark 2 armors, but it does look kind of weird. Maybe it's the light blue and like the spikes, the spikes coming out of the wrist. The spikes are a nice touch, but otherwise it is kind of weird, but also kind of cool at the same time. No pun intended. So this one I think I'll have to put in B. Like, it's kind of weird, but also kind of cool. Again, no pun intended. Maybe a little pun intended, but yeah. So I'll have to put it there in B. But next up is going to be let's see. Is going to be the crossing. I forget the exact lore behind this particular comic run, but looking at the armor here, it does look similar to this one, the classic, aka the Mark III, and may or may not rename it to Mark III, I don't know, but nevertheless, it looks kind of similar to that, if I can scroll back down to it. But it has like the big shoulders, kind of similar to like the 2020 Iron Man, and that you can see here. It's kind of got that, and then it's got these parts over the hands, and then it looks like a very like more or like metal version. Not like metal like the material, but more metal like kind of dark, or a little bit on the edgy side version of like the classic. It does look a bit weird though, but it does still look kind of cool, in my opinion. Kind of like a twist on an old classic. So the crossing, I think I'll probably also put in B. It is still really cool, and I appreciate what they're going for there. But next up is going to be, let's see, the Silver Centurion on really beautiful looking armor. Or probably also a lot of people's armor. A lot of people probably recognize, and I also like how they made him a character of his own in more modern comics, where there is like a Silver Centurion character. Or in fact, I'm gonna look him up. Silver Centurion. I know he's in Marvel Contest of Champions, but Silver Centurion character. I'll look up his name. It's just showing Tony Stark. I'll probably look him up later. Yeah, Harry Rhodes. Named after Rhodey, aka War Machine. But nevertheless, back to the armor here. Her it is still really cool. This is like the OG Silver Centurion armor. It's got like the red, which looks really cool, and the red gloves and red boots, but the silver throughout also looks really, really cool. So this one, I think this one I'll put in A, actually. Especially so the Stremis doesn't get lonely in A, but I don't know if I want to put it in top tier, but it is still really cool, so I will put it in A. I believe it also serves a second function as well. Oh, but I forget exactly what function that is. Let me know in the comments below if you know. But next up is going to be Cold Iron. And so, apparently this is one of the only Iron Man armors actually made out of iron. So go figure, and why they call it Cold Iron. But this one still looks really cool with like the black and the red right here and the spikes. And this part's kind of looking like War Machine. And it is still a really cool one. It does remind me of this one, but even cooler. So cold iron, I think I'll also put in. Mm, honestly, I think I gotta put this one in A. Like something about the added weaponry and stuff of even more than the ice suit or the ice age suit. I think it puts it over the edge for me. So A is where cold iron is gonna go. But next up is going to be the God Killer armor. Or I don't think this is when you want to fight Thor. I know there is a armor that we'll look at similar to that, but I forget the exact. I think this was designed by a celestial race for Iron Man, but nevertheless, this one looks kind of cool, but also kind of weird. Like it's big and it's got like the gold and stuff throughout, but these like bead things do look kind of weird. But otherwise, the God Killer armor does still look really cool. Also, I think I gotta put it in. I think I do have to put it in B. Then next up is the God Killer Mark II, who kind of not as intricate of an armor as this, but it does still look kind of cool, like the solid gold and everything. But yeah, it still looks pretty cool. It's got the red and everything. Like I said, not as intricate as this one, but still pretty cool, pretty decent for the most part. So, God Killer Mark II, I am going to put in. I think I'll also leave it in B as well. Yeah, I think I'll put it there. But then next up is going to be Mark 9. This was the only clean image I could find of this armor in particular. Because when I looked up Mark 9, it just showed me like the MCU kind of variation of it, but I wanted this one on kind of infused with Excalibur, I believe. But this is still a really interesting looking armor. It's got like the ponytail there and like the intricacies and stuff going on in the chest. It's kind of looking almost like knight armor. Or mixed with Iron Man's armors, and it's got the cool helmet as well. Also, this one I think I will put in B. So this one, I think I'm gonna put this one in B. Then next up is going to be the sentient armor. This one is really cool. Something about it is really cool. It looks like the classic armor that they replicated before, or as you can see, if we scroll back up to it, it kind of looks similar to that one, but again, similar to, I believe it's the crossing armor, like this one, kind of like a modern, more like metal take on it. As the name suggests, I believe this armor is sentient to where it can operate on its own, if I'm not mistaken. But it does look pretty cool, like the helmet and these gold parts throughout, and like very, very bulky looking armor. So this one I think I will put in B. So this one I will put in B. Something that does look really cool. And next up is the Godbuster armor, and now this one I think is supposed to combat Thor, if I'm not mistaken. Just take a peek at the other armor. Yeah, this one I think is the one that's supposed to combat Thor. But I do like how it looks similar to the 2020 armor, as you can see right here. But also looks very bulky. And it's got different stuff going throughout, and it looks like a bulky version of the 2020 armor, but it does look tough and durable to withstand Thor. So the Godbuster, I think I'll put that one in B. Yeah, the Godbuster I will put in B. But next up is going to be the virtual armor, and I believe this one And I believe the virtual armor was made specifically for like testing purposes. As Iron Man's training, but it does still look pretty cool. Or I could be completely wrong about that, but it does still look pretty cool. It's got like the hologram and stuff going on, and how the armor looks as well is very very nice. He's kind of slim, but also kind of bulky at the same time. And I know a lot of people do really like this one, and for me, I think I'll put this one in B. Yeah, it does look really really cool. But next up is the outer atmospheric armor. This one, not gonna lie, this one looks kind of weird. It's got gold and silver, which is nice, and it's got like the red. It's kind of like but more like a crimson red head, and some people, and I think this is supposed to be kind of like the basis for the Crimson Dynamo armor, but. The rest of the armor with all the silver and stuff, like the silver being so overpowering and the way the helmet looks, does look kind of weird. It does have some intricacies and stuff going on, but it does look a little bit weird. I don't think I'm the biggest fan of this one, honestly. This one, I think I'll actually put in C. Yeah, not really the biggest fan of this one. Yeah, something about it I'm not really the biggest fan of, so I'll unfortunately have to put it in C. But next up is the Neo Classic. Kind of a spin on an old classic. We're going up to the classic armor again, and as you can see, how this armor looks, and this one kind of taking a spin on that. The only difference being there's some gold here instead of this being a solid red, but it does look pretty bulky and does look pretty cool. And definitely more of an armored look, where it doesn't look just like his arms and his legs, but it actually looks armored, which is nice. So this one, the Neo Classic, I think I will not do what I just did, where I accidentally put it in between the text, but I think I will put it in. Do I want to put it in B or A? You know what? Call me crazy. I think I'm gonna put it in A. Something about it I do really, really like. But next up is the Iron Sorcerer. Whoo, boy, this thing looks sick. Like this is a really cool looking armor, and as the name and the outfit may suggest, this armor was infused with some of the magic of Doctor Strange, but it's still a really cool armor. It's got like the helmet and the big cape, aka the cloak of levitation, and the eye of Agamotto there. It's got the gold and the blue and everything, looking like Doctor Strange's tunic, but with the armored feel of Iron Man. This looks really cool, and it's got the magic and stuff. Oh, this looks really awesome. So this one, the Iron Sorcerer, I think I gotta put this one in Armored Avenger. Is a really cool looking armor. Something about it I do really like. And last but certainly not least is 2099. And this one does look kind of cool. Well, admittedly, a little bit weird, but I think still looks kind of cool. I think it still pulls it off. It's got the gold and red, a lot of intricacies and stuff going on, which is nice. I do like the blue that's at some points, and the red and gold. So something about it I think does still look pretty cool for the most part. So 2099 I am going to at least put in B. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this tier list. So, to recap, in Armored Avenger, we have Bleeding Edge, the Superior Iron Man, the Invincible Iron Man, the Hulkbuster, the Celestial Hulkbuster, and the Iron Sorcerer. In A tier, we have the Extremis, the Silver Centurion, the Cold Iron, and the Neo Classic. In B tier, we have the original Mark II Classic Ultimate Comics Guardians of the Galaxy Marvel Now Modular 2020 Stealth Suit Ice Age The Crossing God Killer Mark II Mark 9 Sentient God Buster Virtual Armor in 2099. In C tier, we have the Heroes Return in Outer Atmospheric, and nothing in Scrap Metal this time around, but Nevertheless, that's going to do it for this tier list. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video so you can see as soon as it drops. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the tier list and my rankings. Did you agree or disagree? And what's your favorite Iron Man armor? Or MCU or comics? Or any other place. But thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.